Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you some behind the scenes on how I record voiceover. Today I'm going to be recording some voiceover for my behind the scenes audio on my Buy Me a Coffee page, as well as some auditions for some audio drama projects. I want to take a minute to talk to you about my Buy Me a Coffee page, but if you're really not interested in that and you're just here for some of the voiceover behind the scenes and tips, you can skip forward to the appropriate chapter down below. So what's my Buy Me a Coffee? My Buy Me a Coffee is a place where I put up short stories, chapters and chapter stories, and other kinds of content that I make from audio dramas and comics. If you want to support me by paying $2 or $3 a month to help buy me a coffee, the link is going to be down in the description. The higher tier on the Buy Me a Coffee gets to hear these behind the scenes audios where I talk about just some of what I went through when I was making the stories that I was writing, or some of the thoughts or philosophical things behind some of those stories. Now, you can apply some of the principles that I'm using today in my recording at home, even if you don't have all of the fancy gear that I have. This is a pretty low budget way of being able to record audio. You can probably hear that the room I'm in right now, my office, is very echoey. You do not really want to record audio on it. I've gone ahead and recorded the audio this way so you can hear what I'm talking about here. I'm actually going to be recording in a walk-in closet, which is honestly the best way that you can record your voiceover at home on a low budget. And I'll explain why in just a moment. So as you can see, I have here hooked up to my computer an M Audio 2-track interface. This interface goes by XLR or by 1/4-inch jack. It has a combo jack. They're super handy, so you can use either one. Plugged into that, I have an XLR cable. Now this XLR cable is quite long. As you can see, I'm feeding it all the way into my bedroom, underneath my baby's crib, and then attached to a second XLR cable to get that last bit of length that I need, that I actually leave in my walk-in closet for when I do these types of recordings. I'm then connecting that XLR cable into this shotgun mic, which is a Synco D1. Links will be in the description for that product. It's a pretty low-cost shotgun mic for what it is. It's really handy. It's good for voiceover, good for video. In fact, it's what I'm using to record the voiceover that you're listening to right now. Also, bonus tip for people with young children. I have a newborn in the house. I can't really record when she's sleeping because I would wake her up. And I can't really record when she's awake because if she's crying, that's going to interrupt my recording. So honestly, the best time to be recording is when she is feeding, she's occupied, she's not making noises with her mouth because it's being used. For the astute observers who notice that I am using a MacBook, you don't have to have a MacBook to be able to do what I'm doing. You can use any computer, you can use Mac, you can use Windows, you can use Linux to record on the software I'm recording right now, which is called Audacity. You can also use the M Audio M-Track Duo interface that I'm using, relatively inexpensive, link in the description, and it will work on Windows. It will also work on Mac. I'm not 100% sure about Linux, but I'm sure you could research that. It does tend to work better on Mac for me. When I've used it on Windows, it seems to have a bit of an argument with the Windows settings about the bit rate that it's going to use, which can make me end up sounding like
deeper than I'm supposed to be as the bitrate changes.
I've run into it on Windows, but for some reason it doesn't seem to happen on Mac. So the reason that I'm recording in a closet, as you might be able to hear somewhat, is that there's some natural sound dampening that goes on. So when you are speaking, your voice has what we call reflections off of the walls and other surfaces, which we interpret then as echo, as the sound bounces back and you're hearing the original sound and the echoed sound, the reflection, slightly later. This is one of the easiest budget ways in your home to record voiceover without having to buy expensive soundproofing and all these kinds of things. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a really inexpensive way to try and get the least echo recording you can. We've only lived in this house for a very short time, so a lot of the rooms are very, very echoey because we haven't put much into the house. So this is really the best room for recording. So I have my microphone here. I really should have a proper full height stand. I haven't gone around to getting one yet. So I actually have this as just a stand for on your desk, but I'm facing myself into the clothing here because it is going to be the most sound dampened. It's absorbing the sound instead of reflecting the sound back. As compared to these walls here that are going to have a lot of reflective surfaces, this is going to be much more sound dampened. So let's record some behind the scenes audio that goes to my Buy Me a Coffee page. This is a behind the scenes for the chapter book I'm writing called Scroll of the Last Empire. Hey everyone, thanks for reading the most recent chapter of Scroll of the Last Empire. This one was a hard one to write. I've been writing it for several months. You may have noticed on the story corner that I've released a number of short stories when normally I would have alternated between short stories and the chapter of the chapter story. The reason for that is I just didn't want to rush the chapter when I wasn't sure 100% where I wanted to go. Like I had an outline, I knew where I wanted it to go, but something just wasn't quite landing for me the way I wanted it to be. And so my encouragement to you as writers today is, anyways, that's all I've got for today, guys. Thank you so much for being a supporter through the Buy Me a Coffee here. I'm enjoying the coffee and I hope you're enjoying the stories. Until next time, I'm Chris. Bye. And so that's basically how I would approach that. Now I've got my iPad here with an audition for some voiceover projects, 2 voiceover roles, same project, seeing where I might fit the best. I might not be able to show you guys anything from this because this is an audition that I'm not guaranteed to have the role yet. So depending on my conversations with the people I'm auditioning with and when this video comes out, I may or may not be able to show this part. And so now we have to cut that up. Okay, so now what we need to do now that we've recorded it, it says I recorded it here in Audacity, which is a great free program. It's not what I do my main audio production work on, but it is great for recording because it's very lightweight. You just open it and you hit record, which is a lot simpler than a lot of the other DAWs. So my audio is mono. It's only recording to one side through my M Audio interface. And so it's recorded as a stereo track here in Audacity. So I needed you click the 3 dots here, go down to split to mono. Now I have 2 mono tracks. I'll delete this one because there's nothing recorded on that. And here we go. I have my recordings. Now I'm going to go here to this section where there's a lot of silence. Let's zoom in on that. Okay. And I am going to go to noise reduction. I'm going to get noise profile. That's sampling this area of audio for any background noise. Selecting all the audio, and I'm going over to noise reduction, about 6, and I press OK, and I kind of do that on everything, just as a coverall in case there's any background noise. Okay, now I'm going to check out what I have here. Okay, so that's the start of my Buy Me a Coffee spiel there. Where does it end? Okay, that's okay. So that's here. I'm going to click on this, a rename clip, BMC. And so this is obviously audition 1 and 2. Let's go Command I, and then let's delete that. This is audition 1 and audition 2. I'm not going to show you those right now because I don't have permission to show those. We'll save this in a minute. So we're just going to focus on the Buy Me a Coffee here. Let's go to volume, normalize, and let's press normalize. There we go. Now we can hear a little louder. This one was a hard one. So now we would just go through and listen to, I think there's a couple spots. Thank you for reading. Thanks for reading the most recent chapter. See, I said, okay. Thank you for reading. I kind of stumble over my words, so let's see. Thank you for everyone. Let's just cut all that out, highlight it, delete. Hey everyone, thanks for reading the most recent chapter of Scroll of the Last Empire. I could cut that breath out if I wanted to. This one was a hard. Oh, I guess let's undo that. Let's take out the as well. Let's hear that sentence. This one was a hard one to write. I've been writing it for several months. You may have noticed on the story corner that I've released a number of short stories when normally would have alternated. So anyways, that's what I would do. I'd go through those, cut out any of those things, and then I would go up and I would export the audio, save it to where I want it, and import that into Buy Me a Coffee. And there you have it. That's how I record some basic voiceover using cheap equipment in a relatively inexpensive environment, and even using a software that is freely available on any platform. If you enjoy this kind of content, please subscribe, hit that like button, go ahead and comment on the kinds of voiceover projects you're working on or would like to work on, or the kinds of behind the scenes things you would like to see me talk about. And if you've super appreciated this and you think I look like I need more caffeine, go ahead to my Buy Me a Coffee and become a member. And then you can get perks of reading the creative stories that I've written, audio dramas, comics, videos, that sort of thing. Thanks for watching. See you next time.